action. Hello, thanks for coming back and checking out my vlog. I hope you guys are also subscribing so that you get updates when I make new videos. So today we are going to talk about the famous topic right now, Bitcoin, in the sense like why is this whole crypto a phenomena, like when did the whole thinking start and stuff like that. So when the whole concept of money sort of emerged, it's basically like in history, kings and queens sort of printing coins, which are circulated as currencies across states, which people can use to exchange goods. Then further down the line, we had governments, we had currencies, we had nations handling all the money printing and then monetary policy and stuff like that. So somewhere along the way, I should say around 1980s, some geeks like us sort of start thinking about this concept of anarchic money. Like, what if there is money outside government? This is very interesting because we need government when there is money because somebody has to sort of stop violence when crime happens. Like if sort of somebody steal your money, then somebody has to intervene and sort of stop that, right? So that's why we need a government. But the idea is, if money is not linked to who you are or what is your physical location, you're essentially eliminating the chance of violence itself. So if such money exists, then we don't need a government to sort of handle this money. This is exactly the thought behind the early thoughts on how crypto money started, in the sense, what if there is money which cannot sort of directly point which person is holding this money and what is the physical location of this person, right? So that's when sort of this work around Bitcoin started, and then we had this decentralized system where a lot of people are mining for these coins, and it's a sort of a computational game, and then they sort of mint these coins, and because these coins are hard work to mint, they have certain value, and as they get exchanged in the market, as they become the primary tool of exchange, the value of the coin goes up. So essentially, over the years, this sort of cryptographic money called Bitcoin sort of gained traction, and today we sort of look at Bitcoin like gold because it has many properties similar to gold, such as a store of value. When you have a lot of money, you want to store it somewhere, so Bitcoin sort of offered the right place to become that. And then we also started thinking about, if you sort of look at markets or how things happen today, we essentially have a means of transaction, that is, you sort of exchange money, number one. Number two, you sort of do contracts saying that, hey, I'm going to rent my property to somebody and they pay me money for that. So, it's a monthly contract. So essentially, if you have a contracting mechanism and if you have money, you can essentially enable economy as such. So that's when the crypto world sort of started looking at reinventing the whole system. That's how Ethereum is born. And Ethereum said, I'm not only a money transaction mechanism on the chain. When I say chain, it is basically like these guys call this whole thing of multiple people sort of keeping the ledger of the currency, right? From whom to whom the money went over time since the inception of the whole crypto concept. That's called a chain. So if I can also do contracts on top of this chain, then I'm solving both the problems. I'm essentially saying I have a transaction mechanism. I can also let people do contracts on this chain. So around this concept, again, eventually Ethereum is born. I would say this is sort of first wave of crypto where Bitcoin sort of started as a transaction mechanism, and then Ethereum sort of came in and said, hey, I'll also let people do contracts with these transactions, which we call smart contracts and stuff like that. So this is sort of first wave of crypto. And then in the second wave of crypto, what happened was there are these new protocols like Aave and Compound and stuff like that, which sort of came up. Google them up. So which came up, and what they started doing is, if you have money and if you can do contracts on these networks, then how about we sort of build protocols where somebody can deposit this money and sort of earn an interest out of it, or sort of lend this money to somebody else. So essentially, this is exactly what banks do in today's society, right? In the sense, we sort of have banks who store our money and sort of lend it to somebody else so that they pay interest, and we sort of get to increase our money. So all these financial instruments are essentially money and contracts, right? And then think of that on a decentralized network. This is exactly what DeFi is. Of course, it's much more complex. as you sort of dig deep into it. But then I would say the second wave of how crypto is penetrating in the market is decentralized finance, right? I also want to sort of make a note on what I think is a third wave of this whole revolution. That is this money actually going into people's lives, right? In the sense, now if you sort of think of how our monetary policy works, in the sense government decides to sort of print a bunch of money and then sort of circulate it in the economy, and the way this is circulated is driven by a central policy or some bank which decides whom to sort of loan that money to. It's not guided by a protocol. It is basically people making decisions, right? And then what happens with the money is money essentially becomes a way in which people sort of buy goods or invest in themselves or sort of buy properties and stuff like that. So an interesting thing that can happen because of DeFi as well as crypto money, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum and various others, is this new concept of how can this money can actually go into contracts that sort of build human capital. This is what I think is the next wave of crypto. So what is human capital? Human capital is nothing but how do you sort of enrich people. Like if you have somebody who is probably passionate about photography, he has a little bit of skills, but he does not have a formal approach or formal training on how to go about it. All he needs is some money to sort of go and get some training, or sort of to be able to get that training, he has to pay for it. So somebody has to invest in him, right? But so which means that if I sort of can invest into people and sort of empower them on their skills, then we have better people. Then better people is simply like better capital. So this is called human capital. So I mean, what's interesting to me, at least what I think in the next round or a third wave of crypto is going to be all about, is money going into human capital in a decentralized fashion. Like, which means that suddenly we sort of hit a new level of complexity where we sort of have to write contracts which include human behavior on one side and decentralized finance on the other side, right? So in a sense, so I mean, this is what I'm really excited about, where how can we sort of leverage crypto to sort of invest into people. When I say people, it can be a creator, it can be a YouTuber, or it can be somebody who's doing photography, or it can be somebody who is sort of trying to sort of build a blockchain, or it can be somebody who is an entrepreneur, anybody who is seeking investment for his own empowerment to become a better contributor to the economy, right? In the sense, how can we sort of invest tokens into people, right? So this is the trend I'm super excited about, and I'm probably going to invest some of my time to actually build something in this along with a bunch of others. But yeah, this is what I see as third wave of crypto, which is going to be really huge. I really want your thoughts on this as well, so I'm hoping some of you would sort of comment and then we can have a discussion. Thank you. Subscribe to my channel.